Really good opening line. I'm going to use that from now on. That's all I have to do. Woo-hoo! I think all the Seahawks fans just took that to mean, yeah, we just won the Super Bowl! Yeah! Okay, we got one. And then everybody else is just like, I had pancakes for breakfast. Woo-hoo! And everybody else is like, I got cool socks on. Woo-hoo! That was like the blanket statement of awesome that anybody will interpret as their own. Duly noted. So, speaking of the Super Bowl... Yeah! Thanks, guys, I'm done. Okay, so this actually feels really weird. Because I feel like after, like, the previous acts of, like, we had some, like, Catholic bashing jokes and, like, some, like, religion and like, it's so weird as, like, a straight, you know, like, heterosexual, white male Christian. I feel like I'm coming out. like in Seattle, it's like my coming out. I was like, guys, I'm straight and Christian. And, like, you never know what the reaction is going to be. It's like, we're so disappointed. Sorry, I'll go back to Spokane. No, that's actually where I'm from. I am from Spokane. I actually loved Spokane. It's a great town. It's a great place to grow up. I was born in Spokane, but I am a dual citizen, as evidenced by my hat. I am a Halfrican. I am the whitest African American you will ever meet. I'm South African American. My parents are from South Africa, and which means I'm a dual citizen, which is awesome. South Africa has 11 official languages. 11! The US doesn't even have one! And I can actually speak one of the 11 official languages of South Africa. It's English. Well, 1 down, 10 to go, right? No, I am actually working on another. I was living in South Africa for a little while, and excuse me, I was volunteering there full time, doing education and outreach through drama, and, you know, like whatever you do after your college years, you know, whatever. And so I was volunteering full time, and I was trying to learn another language called Xhosa. Yeah, no, this thing's working. It's Xhosa. There's a click in there. Xhosa, pronounced as Xhosa. There are 3 clicks in Xhosa. The X click, the Q click, and the C click. And then there's kind of a half click that's kind of awkward. It's not really a click, it's like a guttural issue. And it's a great language, especially if you're like a teacher, American volunteer teacher. It's also a wonderful language to imagine being on Broadway. Think about that. How awesome would that be if you saw a Xhosa Broadway musical? Like, cause you know, Broadway actors, they have a certain way. I saw Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat on Broadway, and I think the guy who played Joseph had a really good voice. I don't actually know, because he would just kick the crap out of his consonants. He would just like beat the crap, and he's like, I closed my eyes, drew back the curtain. Oh, bro, what do those consonants ever do to you? Everybody in the first row is just like... Imagine that in the world's first production of Doctors Without Borders, the musical. He like gets his English translation. It's like, the little child goes to see the doctor. Oh, in Xhosa, that's Twananli uyakwanira. I don't know why it hasn't been done yet. Either way, it'd still do better than Spider-Man. Oh, wow. Apparently some people are really invested in this. If you, like, literally, if you were actually invested in this, you have a right to say that. That musical lost $6 billion. That's like the GDP of Armenia. Like, what? Holy cow! We need to bring Closer to Broadway. We also need to bring it to American classrooms, because as a teacher in South Africa for I was teaching theater, so it's a little different, but also it's a super useful language when you're a teacher, because in the States you can kind of get away with whispering in the back of the classroom. You know, you're like, oh my gosh, there's that douchebag up there, like wearing shorts, like who does that? Oh my gosh, he's like writing something stupid on the board. Ha! No, you can't do that in close-up. I'd be so mundo sin imaginación. I'm sorry, is somebody building a birdhouse in the back of the classroom? No. I'm sorry. And as a teacher, I would go to these township schools. So I was the reason why I was volunteering is because most of the schools in South Africa were kind of left behind by the apartheid system. So you have some really, really poor schools there who are like, all right, is it science and language? Great. Anything else? So I was like, all right, well, theater, to me, is very important. Music, art, like, I think that contributes to a well-rounded education. And so I was like, all right, well, if you're not gonna pay teachers to do it, I'll just freaking come here and do it for free. Whatever. And so I did. And I would go to these township schools, and I would work with maybe 10 to 15 kids out of 300 or 400 in a school. And so okay, so you have one white American guy coming to a school in a township where it's literally the only white guy at all. And everybody is gonna know who he is. I'm going to a school that is 100% black. I would even wager 104. I'm not good at math, I was a theater kid. And so you have, I'm working with maybe 10 to 15 kids out of 400. And I go there and I recognize Abiso and Nomatam Sam. You know, I was so proud I got the clicks that's all I'm focused on. Everybody else knows who I am. So I'm walking through the township on the way to this school, and somebody's like, hey, Matthew! What the fart? What did you just call me? Turns out Matthew is Matthew in Xhosa. Yeah, chalk one up for American douchebag. And so I'm going off to this school, and somebody's yelling what I thought was profanities at me. Turns out it's just my name. And so I'm looking at this guy. I'm like, I have no idea what this guy is. I feel horrible. I'm that American. He's like, oh, those Africans are all the same. Ooh, they're all black, whatever. No, it's just that you're not one of my 10. It's not my fault. So he's like, hey, I dare you. So I'm like, hey, who are you? Turns out I looked out because that was actually his name. You know you've been in Africa way too long when Spokane looks like an African word. Spokane. That's when I realized that the African names are actually really compatible with Native American place names, especially in the Pacific Northwest. For instance, in terms of African onomatopoeic storytelling. So you know what I'm talking about? The lion walks through the tall, soft grass, Spokane. Yeah, and the monkeys cry out, walla walla, walla walla. And the birds cry, takwa, takwa, takwa. And the awkward birds respond, puola, puola. And the gazelles dash through the fields. Yakima, 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 yakima. Oh my gosh. I'm telling you, man, I spent a little too long in South Africa. No, you guys have seriously been an awesome audience. It is so good. I want to give a huge thank you to Clayton Weller for organizing this, Clayton Weller and the Pocket Theater, and West of Lenin for organizing this whole thing.